There is a little bit of a delay, so we're going to wait for about another minute and then we will get down to business. Thank you. There is a little bit of a delay, so we're going to wait for about another minute and then we will get there. If you guys can hear me, go ahead and comment for me that you can hear me, see me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jolene. Appreciate it. All right. We before we get down to business, let's go ahead and take care of a couple of things, so that I'm protected. Hold on one second. All information in this program is known to be accurate at the time of recording. Any commentary by the host is for discussion purposes only. Anyone labeled a person of interest by the host or family has not been charged with a crime. All suspects charged with crimes related or unrelated to a case covered are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Opinions and views expressed by the host do not represent views of the families or sponsors of this program. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Steve Stone, host of the Grimm Truth Podcast. This is our 1-year anniversary live stream. I'm glad for everyone that tunes in or decides to watch this later. We will be playing this back. It'll be on the YouTube channel in case you miss it. A year. Wow. I don't know where to begin. Hi. How's it going, Heather? We've done a lot. We've been through a lot. Some good, some bad. The one thing that I take away from doing this a year is I've got a year under my belt, and I think the vision for what I want to do with the podcast, with the channel, is pretty clear, and we have a lot to do. And our focus will always be the missing, the underdog, the people that society says it's okay, it's an acceptable loss. It's not, and we're going to continue to fight for those people. We are going to add a segment of people to our family, the Grimm Guardian family, and I will get into that a little bit later. And again, we have a lot to talk about. I planned this out. Normally I just kind of shoot at the hip with these lives, but I've decided that we were going to do something a little more organized and a little more regimented, if you will. And so let's begin. One thing that we all know about missing persons cases, if you follow me, if you've been with us since the very beginning, is these cases do not get handled properly. And whether it be a lack of training, whether it be just bad bedside manner, for lack of a better term, they can be handled much better. We have tonight. I have a story of one that was handled piss poor, and a story of one that was handled the right way. And it's bizarro world. These stories couldn't be two different stories with two different types of people from different backgrounds, ethnicities, and the way that these cases were treated are you wouldn't think that it would be the case. So let's dig in here, and let's start with the case of Kimberly Flint. Now, I am covering this case on Monday, and the podcast was gonna air because she was a missing person. I got this case from the Missing East Texas 8 and Beyond. That's Karen Knuckle Phillips and Alyssa and Teresa. They all do a wonderful job. I've done many stories for them, and I love my partnership with those guys. They're a great team. I want to give them a shout out. They're wonderful people and do a great job. So Kimberly Flint went missing September the 26th, 2018 from Rusk County, Texas. And we were going to do this case Monday. Today, early in the morning, I get into the office and I see that she had been found. Her remains had been found. And these remains were found a couple of weeks ago. They had the remains. They compared her DNA, and it was a positive identification. This case shouldn't have gone the way it did. It wasn't handled properly. So let's begin on a little bit of how it was handled. Number one, there was no search. She got into a car accident. It looked like her car had kind of bounced into this interior side of a bridge that went over a river, and not a fast moving river, just a kind of like a ravine type deal. The car wasn't investigated. They didn't go in and look or do any forensic things. They moved the car, and then they started doing stuff. It wasn't handled properly. The husband, who was alive at the time, he's since passed, and the son, James, who is a former Marine military police officer. And I want to say, first of all, to the families, my condolences to you for what you're going through. But nothing was done right in this case. On top of that, there was a history of depression on Kim's side, and she was battling it like anybody would. She didn't leave home to leave. Like, there was things that she left behind at home. And this case was not investigated properly. It was mishandled from the jump. Searches weren't done. There was no silver alert put out. If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't put out right away. It wasn't handled properly. It was handled in a piss poor manner. And I don't think it should matter if it's a country town like Rusk County, Texas, or if it's metropolitan city like San Bernardino, California, or San Bernardino County. These cases should all be handled the same. The training should be all handled the same, and it's not. And herein lies the problem. If I show you this next case that we're going to talk about, this was a North Carolina mom and daughter who were missing for over 5 years. 5 years, ladies and gentlemen. That's a long time. And nobody knew where they were. There was a lot of rumor about what happened. They said the mom just up and left. The kid and the mom had up and left without taking any belongings. And search. And when they were found this week, if we can look here, quote, "The culmination of years of following leads, tips resulted in the outcome that we had all hoped for today. The successful recovery of a child who had been missing since December 2016. The U.S. Marshal Service and our investigative partners will not quit nor be deterred until the children are rescued." That Michael East, who's the U.S. Marshal for the Eastern District of North Carolina. Authorities believed Joe Smith, who had the people, 59, may be associated with the group's disappearance, and the ATF charged Smith with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and he was taken into custody Tuesday. Officials transported Miracle and her sibling to the Harnett County Department of Social Services for victim assistance, according to a press release. And then they go on to say, I am so thankful that the individuals were located safely due to the hard work and perseverance of all the agencies involved, Harnett County Sheriff Wayne Coates said in a statement. This is a true testament to the professional working relationship between all the agencies, and I'm grateful for them. These types of investigation are very complex and require many hours in the field to bring a case to a positive conclusion. This is an outlier. This is a case that had a child missing, her mother and another child missing, and they're gone for a long time. And they worked this case. They worked it. They worked it right. They got the federal government involved. You hear all the time when people say, I need the FBI. We need the FBI involved. I can't tell you how difficult that really is to get the federal government involved in a case. Now, if a missing person is taken from one state to another, then that becomes a federal case. It is difficult to get a local municipality to let the feds in. First of all, they have to ask for permission. They have to, the municipality, whether it be a city or a government agency, or a county or a city agency, has to ask the feds to get involved. They have to give them written permission. The feds cannot just come in and go, hey, we're going to take over this case. Again, unless they find out that someone has been trafficked from state to state, or the person was kidnapped from one state to another. Or if, for instance, the person's car went from one state to another. That's the only time the feds can get involved unless they're invited. I'm reading hashtag Justice for James Escalante. Law enforcement needs to listen to the families. The missing shouldn't have to meet some prejudiced checklist to be considered as someone who matters. Again, that is 100% the problem. The other issue, the other issue is if they meet a certain demographic or a stereotype, i.e. criminal, i.e. Mental health issue, i.e. Drug problem. And let's face it, folks, I'm not saying that we live in a racist country. I am saying that there are some people with racial bias. And we can talk about it. This isn't a political thing. It's just facts. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There are women, if you see a white woman from the suburbs, that case is going to go all over the news media, and it's going to be worked 1,000%. We're not going to see a James Escalante case on the front page of a newspaper or on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. It's just the way it is, and it needs to stop. It's terrible. Jolene Oni, she just commented, or cover up, and that's another thing too. I have learned the year that I've done this, the first year I've done this, I have a law enforcement background. I did not believe that there was a lot of corruption that can go on. I've learned through these cases that I've worked in Texas and in Arkansas, that in Mississippi too, that there are cases of corruption or cover-ups or hiding things. And I'm not talking about, conspiracy theories. I'm talking about law enforcement makes a mistake. Of course, they're not going to want that aired in public. It's bad PR. If you can't take care of your people, then it's bad PR. So they're not going to air their dirty laundry. I mean, the United States government tries not to air their dirty laundry all the time, and it takes an expose, or if the media wants to uncover something that's not fake or made up. But I digress. The bottom line is here is, in order to stop preaching about the same things, we need to fix this. And I don't want to prematurely announce something, but I will say this. I work with a fantastic group of people. The one blessing, and I said this at the end of last year or in December, the one thing that got me really hit me in the heart was meeting such wonderful people, and uh, that that's like the biggest thing. And now I'm working with these great people that didn't ask to be brought in to this missing fraternity. No one asked um, to have a loved one missing, and that they're mentors for others. They're role models. They wrote their own book on how to do this. I mean, Karen Knuckles Phillips, Heather Escalante, Scarlett Campbell, Jolene Oni. There are people like that. Marilyn McAllister, and Marilyn Briscoe. People have taken charge of their cases and have become their own media, and that's the best way to do it. If you're going to do a podcast, don't just do one podcast. Do them all. And I'll get into podcasts later, but you want to get as much coverage on your case as humanly possible, and that's why I don't believe in the one and done mentality on a case. One and done doesn't work. I cover a case, and then we wait for leads to pop in, and you have to, and sometimes that takes forever. Any family, and you guys can chime in on the comments. I hope you guys do. And Heather can attest to this, and I'm sure. I know that Jolene, who's watching, can attest to this. This is not a sprint; it's a marathon, and a lot of these marathons are never ending. It's a hell that I wouldn't want anyone to have to go through. But you don't just put a picture up, cover the story, and then move on to the next. I don't believe in that. I believe that you have to keep pounding the pavement. You can still go on to other cases and still come back to this case, because that's how you're going to get more people to care. It's how you're going to get more interest in a case. You have to keep going. And that's what I think works for me. And I'm going to continue to do it that way. There are people out there that need help. And especially some cases are not as cut and dry as others. There are some cases that you can't really, for instance, I'm not going to name some of these cases just because they're being investigated and I don't want to. But there are cases where there's only really one suspect. There's only really one way it could happen, and you can keep, and we share those and we bring them back up, but we don't get into the nitty gritty, into the meat of them, like the Chris Sanders case, the Andrew DeWeese case, James Escalante, others where we're trying to help solve them, where myself and my volunteers, we get into these cases and we want a result, and we work with these families to help them, whatever we can do, as much as we can do, and try to help these families get the answers. And sometimes I have a full plate, but that's okay, because somebody needs to do it, and I was called to do this, and that's what we do. And as I've done this, I've met other people that think the same way I do, that and we're building a team. So I'm working on something with some people in the background. Hopefully we're going to come up with a kind of like a think tank, if you will, and try to solve this thing, and then start enacting change. Again, this is something that's going to happen overnight, and it has to, in order for things to change, we need more people on board. The more people we have on board, and this isn't, I want to make something very clear. Kara Clifton, there are always pieces to find the end. Yes, that is very true. In all of these cases, there are things that always come up, and trust me, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But I want to say one thing: this country can be divided with its politics, and I stay away from politics on this channel, on my Facebook page. This isn't a place for politics unless it has something to do about the missing. Whether it's where we're trying to help legislation or help pass a law, then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the politics. But I try to stay away from politics. But that being said, we're so tribal in this country with certain things that when people can find common ground, like the missing, you can work with anybody. It was unfortunate that I had the opportunity to speak with a well-known podcaster. I will not name the podcast because I don't want to get in trouble. I had the opportunity that was going to happen this week, that I was going to read, or we were going to interview a really big podcaster and get their take on the missing. And unfortunately, it didn't happen because they weren't happy with some of my private posts on my private Facebook page. My response to that was, it's very disheartening that we can't come together. We can be from a red state, a blue state. We can be a Christian, non-Christian. But the missing, that's common ground. Why can't we focus on the common ground and find a topic that people can agree on, and a fight that we can charge in together and work. And it was unfortunate that I couldn't do the interview because I really wanted to get their take. I felt that, we should be able to find common ground on a topic and work together. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And that's one of the things I like about not, being kind of an independent. I don't have any corporate sponsors. I don't have anybody to answer to. I do it my way. And I kind of like that, and I'll continue to do that. Jolene, our loved ones did not just up and leave their wallet, cell phone, cigarettes behind, rather in the middle of the night or doors wide open. That's the other thing too. When law enforcement has, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, law enforcement believes that their textbook is the textbook to go by, instead of listening to a mother's intuition, or a family. Listen, a cop can go by what their experience has told them. But what they don't have the experience is your family member, right? They don't know James Escalante. They don't know Chris Sanders. They don't know Andrew DeWeese. They don't know Little Joe. They don't know any of these people. You know them. I've said this before. I'll say it again. When I was a young man, I would get teetotally inebriated, and I would have a hangover. My mother would call me early in the morning and go, "How much did you drink last night?" Because she would feel, parents know. A mother knows. Like, when you become a parent, you have parent radar, or I call it mom dar or dad dar. You know. A family member knows their children. Like Marilyn McAllister, she knows her son. Sandy Sanders knows her son. Jolene, she knew her brother. And so they have to shut up and listen to the family. Take the family's advice and go off them. Don't just, that's where that has to change. They have to open this, focus this, and close this. That right there will find a lot of missing people. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that, and I'm not going to deviate from that 100%. The more they listen to the family, the better chance of finding your loved one and advocating. If you don't know, if anybody does not know what they need to do, and there is no book you can go out and buy at Walmart or Amazon that says how to handle the missing. There is no book. But what you can do is you can reach out to people like the Missing East Texas 8 and Beyond, or Heather Escalante's group, The World of the Missing, or you can come to us here at the Grim Truth Podcast, and we will tell you, you don't have to wait 48 hours, 24 hours to report somebody missing. That's BS. It doesn't happen. You don't have to sit. If you know someone's missing and you know it, go down to the police, fight, scratch, claw, and then start gathering your information. Gather phone records if you're able to do that. Talk to the last people that saw your loved one. Very easy things. I'm going to tell you right now, your smartwatches, they have this SOS app, and this is a public service right here. I'm going to tell you this right now. Put that SOS alert on. I did a lot. There was some ads that were running during a football game for Apple Watches, and I'm not an Apple consumer. It's my preference. They have this SOS that all smartwatches do, where you can set up, if something happens, my watch can notify my wife that I'm in trouble. I press this thing 3 times. It goes out to my wife, all my older kids, and 911. My phone's the same thing. If I fall, same thing. I think everybody should set their cell phones up with that, especially if there might be a kidnapping or a crime. These are all things that we can tell people to help, empower them. And that's one of the things. And I'm reading your guys' messages right now. Keep notes of everything. Absolutely. Like, you jot down every time you've called somebody, who you talked to, what was the discussion about. You keep that journal, and you're making your own report on what's going on. I cannot tell you how many times that I have composition notebooks up the wazoo. I have a computer set up with 3 screens. I've got thumb drives everywhere, but I still am old-fashioned. I'm on a book. I put everything in the computer afterwards, but you keep a log, and you don't take no for an answer. You scream, you fight, like you said, you scratch, you claw, and until you're heard. Somebody will listen. And I think that is what we have to take away. And before we get to our next topic, I want to say this. The one thing that I find a little disconcerting about the missing is some missing groups only worry about that particular case. Not all, but there are some. If you want to make change, and if you want the missing to matter, every group needs to band together as a collective, and the more people you have, the more voices you have, the more noise you're going to make. And that has to be that way. I share things from everybody's, if there's a missing person, I'll share it. And I know a lot of people do, but we have to come together as a group, not just the Grim Truth group, not just the World of the Missing, not everybody, we all have to come together, and we all have to take a stand. Yes, there are power in numbers, and the more, I'm telling you, you will be the loudest voice in the room. And that's one of these things that people don't understand is you have to yell. You have to be heard. You have to do it in a way that is going to get your case heard and get the attention that you need. My next topic is going to be, we did a video on Tuesday about Revelations, Chris Sanders. This is one of the cases this is the case I started on. This is the case that got me my start. And Chris's case started to rein me in. I got involved in it. I have a good relationship with his mother, Sandy. Wonderful, wonderful woman. She's a fighter. Karen Knuckles Phillips, a good friend. So during the new year, I had not. I started kind of getting back into it slowly after the holidays. I kind of had like I didn't want to, that motivate. And you got to get motivated. I got to start doing things. And I out of the blue, I got an anonymous tip from somebody that there was a person interjecting themselves in Chris's case. And I listened to what the person had to say. And then there was this back and forth about whether this was actually the person talking or somebody else. Either way, I took the information and I ran it through another person and ran it through several more people close to the case. Come to find out that similar events, similar stories had come true, or that it was true. And so as we looked into it, I decided that we were going to go ahead and run with it and announce the individual. Now, on the video, I didn't put this man's picture up because I was trying to find him, was trying to get him to talk to me. Lo and behold, I haven't been able to do that. Now, I have been on Cody Penny, which is Chris Sanders' nephew, for a while. And I have given him some questions that I wanted to ask, and we didn't, he's yet to respond, and I still hope that he will. But, so let's introduce everyone to Payne Carpenter. And up here, if you're paying attention, that's a little pun there. Payne Carpenter interjected himself into Chris Sanders' case. He named some names, and he named events that were, he, according to several sources, this gentleman he knows people involved, and he made a statement that Chris had been moved several times. And I want to talk to him. If you are familiar with what we do on the podcast, I talk to everybody. I talk to as many people as I possibly can. Again, it's important because I've worked so many cases that, we'll work a case and you only get half a story. And then sometimes you have to wait and get a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more. So we take our time, and I'll talk to anyone, but I have to talk to everyone. And I don't like people. There are people that interject themselves because whether it's some kind of narcissistic thing that they got going on, or if they just want to interject themselves in a case because they want to be a part of what's going on. I don't know what makes people do this, but it's important that we talk to Payne. Payne's still around. He's still in Texas. But again, I'm not saying Payne did anything. I'm not accusing him of anything. I need to talk to him. And like you say, Payne needs to speak up ASAP. And Chris does need to come home. There are people that know what happened to Chris Sanders. I mean, at this point, I've been on this case over a year. They know what happened to Chris. Everybody knows what happened to Chris. It's just waiting for someone to speak up, like Cody Penny and now Payne Carpenter. If you didn't have anything to do or with Chris or anything like that, then we speak, we move on, and we go. The cops aren't looking into this, that's for sure. I will, and let me scratch that. I will say it was a shocking surprise to see that Chris's case is on the Texas Ranger website as an unsolved homicide, and the reward is $3,000 plus an additional $1,000 that the Grimm Truth Podcast has put up. So that's $4,000 for information leading to finding Chris Sanders or anyone that knows what happened to Chris Sanders. So, again, somebody knows. It's just a matter of who's gonna get their time at the cookie jar first, and it just takes one person. And I'm gonna quote a good friend of mine. If the reward money is tempting, and money does grease wheels. We live in a capitalistic society, and there's nothing wrong with capitalism. And so at the end of the day, the money's there. Now, if you want the money, you can't be anonymous. You have to, you're going to have to tell us who you are. The bad guys don't need to know who you are, but we'll need to know who you are so that you can get the reward money. But at the end of the day, this shouldn't be about money. This should be about being a good citizen, being a good person in Christ, and get the information to the family, because every family of a missing person is living a nightmare. George Weeks, who is the father of Jacob Paddock Weeks, who we'll be doing more information on in the coming weeks, he said something that resonated with me. He said in a post, he said, "These aren't stories, these are lives." And that is so doggone true, that we're not telling you a story. We're talking to you about someone's life. Someone who is not at the dinner table every night. Someone that's not visiting us on the holidays. Someone that's not playing with their kids, their grandkids, nieces, nephews. These are people that are gone, and they lived a life. And whether their life was taken from them by nefarious means or an accident happened and they haven't been found, that's yet to be determined. But they still have to be found, no matter what color, religion, political affiliation, purple, green, from Mars, not from Mars, whether they've had an addiction problem, whether they've been in trouble with the law, whether they lived a lifestyle that isn't, politically correct. It shouldn't matter, because they're loved by someone and they deserve to be found. Period. Point blank. And we did a story last week on Andrew Deweese, and it's funny when we redo these stories, and these Revelation episodes that we're going to do this year are phenomenal. We're going to do one on every story that we covered last year, hopefully with more, because stuff does come in. We'll get stuff that comes in, and we'll save it because we are either checking it out or there's something we can't do. But so we did a case on Andrew Deweese, and we put in there the names of the people that had come up in the investigation. We didn't say what they were supposed to have done or did or seen or not seen, just names. Lo and behold, people were coming out of the woodwork. I mean, it was like gangbusters. And one of the people on the list hit me up. And I'm just here to tell you, if you're going to hit me up to try to get information from me, that's not going to happen. I have a confidentiality situation with all the families. Number one. And number two, I'm a professional. You're not getting any information out of me. So it seemed like it was a fishing expedition, and they didn't catch anything except a bunch of nothing. And I will keep it that way. Look, if I'm not going to give up sources because I'm a journalist. I don't have to do that by law. I'm not going to do that. I have an ethics thing. It's none ya. That's what it is. None your business. And I'm not going to tell you details that don't concern you. If you know something about any case, you need to come forward. And that is something that you should do in general. So this year, I wanted to do something different. While we were on break for the holidays, I received 3 or 4 cases involving homicide victims. Some of these homicide victims were missing at the time and were found deceased. The same thing that the missing go through, some of these families of the murdered go through. They don't have anyone to listen to them. They don't they don't know where to go. They don't know who to turn to. And I'm trying to resonate how these people are coming to help. I can't turn them away. They need help. And I have a platform as such as it is. It's a growing platform. But we're growing. And I feel like if I can help them just like I'm helping the missing, why not give it a shot? So starting February the 7th, it will be the first episode of the Grimm Truth Podcast Murdered and Missed series. We are doing the Murdered and Missed series, and this will happen when we get one of these cases, because, again, they need help too. I feel that they have a lot in common with the missing, and that is especially cases that aren't being worked on, cases that have gone cold, cases that nobody cares about. And these victims of these homicides are a lot like the ones that are missing. People that weren't on the right side of the law. Some of them weren't. People that were suffering from a mental illness, or it's similar along those lines. So we're going to do something and we're going to help out. My first case about Murdered and Missed is going to be Ella Crawley. Ella Crawley, she was murdered, and her family's asking for help. And the problem with her case is, and we're going to get into this on the podcast on February the 7th. I'm sorry, February 7th. She had some issues. She battled mental health issues, but she was still a person. She was found in a park, deceased. And the sad thing about Ella's case is not a lot was done interviewing people. There was a van with several subjects in it. Only one of those 4 people were interviewed, and then that was it. It's easy to go out there and canvass a crime scene. There's a lot more to the crime scene. There's a lot more to this case that we'll get into on the podcast, but she needs your help. Her family needs your help. I've talked to her sister, a wonderful family, and they need your help. And if you've seen this case or you're familiar with it, by all means, give Winston-Salem PD a call at 336-773-7000. Again, that's 336-773-7000. You can also call Crime Stoppers at 336-727-2800. Now, I am in contact with Crime Stoppers, and we're working on getting a reward for Ella's case. That's what I was working on this week, along with the Kimberly case. And I had a brain moment. I'll tell you, COVID brain is terrible. You get COVID, and sometimes just your brain just goes off and does something loopy. Anyway, so Ella needs your help. I'm contacting Crime Stoppers. We're trying to get a reward, and we're trying to get this case momentum. We're trying to get it out there. That's why the flyer's out. We're going to be posting it up today after this live stream. And again, just want to put this case up here. It's again, justice for Ella Crawley. Please contact Winston-Salem Police, 336-773-7000. And again, the time for justice is now in this case. And we have a lot more of these cases that we're going to be doing. And we're going to sprinkle them in pretty regularly. When I get to the point, we're going to probably be doing two shows a week. And they need help just like everybody else does. And while we're on that topic, a case that is close to a friend of mine, James Escalante's case still needs solved, ladies and gentlemen. And Heather Escalante did a video today that resonated with me. I watched it. And first of all, James was missing, and then he was found. They have a reward up, and I want to reiterate some of the things that she said. There's a reward for $5,000, and this reward, one, will not be here forever, and two, you can't be anonymous to get this reward. And if you're waiting on information, if you're waiting for the reward to go up to give your information, I got bad news for you. This is not the Powerball. This is about a man who needs justice, a family that needs justice. These cases take a toll on the human soul, on the psyche, on the heart. They break a family down, and it's with every murdered or missing case, it's the same. It like, for instance, imagine your missing loved one's gone 21 years, right? 21 years. That's a lifetime. I have a child that's 21 years old. Oh my God. So then you go through the missing stage, and you're at the part where your loved one's been found deceased, and now you got to switch gears and go into that. Ask Scarlett Campbell. She knows. Will Pole Gabriel Jones, similar case. If you know something, say something. But that reward is $5,000, and it's going to stay $5,000. But imagine that's taking a toll on this family. And at the end of the day, like with everything, it's time's up. Like honestly, if there are people that know about these cases, and we know that there are, like you can't sit there and tell me a small town. Let's just use Little Joe's case. I know I'm kind of veering off a little bit, but trust me, I'm bringing it here. Let's say, for instance, you live in a small town, 3.3 square miles of coverage, right? I mean, you can't pack much in 3.3 square miles. And tell me nobody knows? It's a small town, right? Or in James's case, people that are involved, they all know each other. I'm not naming names because I got to hold it down for my girl, Heather. I can't get her in trouble. But they all know each other. Come on. You all rotate in the same circle. And Heather put a comment, and I just want to read it. The reward will be going away at the end of this month. So your time's running out, folks. Time's running out. If you want to help the James Escalante case, you have till the end of the month. The end of the month. And then that's it. And let me tell you something. They're not, just because the award goes away, don't mean the case goes away. And I know Heather, and this isn't going to go away. Okay, folks? This ain't going away. So you have a month. Make sure you help out and you contact. And if this isn't the number, Heather, let me know. But 760-844-0558 for any information on James Escalante. You got a month. You get it done. That's for Heather. So anyway, it shouldn't take money to get people to come together and say what they know. It shouldn't take 21 years in Little Joe's case for you to come in and say what you know. I mean, if you have a heart in your chest, I want to just, I've said this before, and I'll do it again. If you have let's talk to the people that know something. Because I do know that the people that are behind some of these cases or involved, they watch. So let me talk directly to you for a minute. I'm sure deep down, somewhere in that soul of yours, you have a loved one that you care and love about. And I guarantee you that you would move a mountain to find your loved one. You wouldn't. You'd do anything. You hear people say all the time, "Oh, I'll kill somebody," or we all know you would move a mountain. You would do whatever it took. So now take your shoes off and walk in some of these people's shoes. And I guarantee you'd be in the same situation. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's what this is all about. That's what we do. That's why we do this. Because you can't go years and years and years bottling up this evil, this secret, this thing that you know, that and just not, you can't. And I want to say one thing. We got 10 minutes, and we'll wrap this thing up. But Jolene is the sister for little Joe. Not only does she walk the walk, she talks the talk. And Heather does the same thing, and Scarlett and Karen. But all these powerful women have the same thing in common. They help out with other cases. They try to help others. They know how it feels to have someone missing. They know how it feels. They feel the same pain. They've gone through the same sleepless nights, the unanswered questions, the who's, the what, the when, the where, the why. And they help other people. And that right there shows that humanity is still there, still prevalent. And we need more people like that out there to continue to share and help and guide and put us in the right direction. We're not done. As we wrap up, we celebrate another year. We celebrate our first year. And again, I was just doing this thing at the seat of my pants. I'm more organized. I have a studio. I have a wonderful wife who is very supportive and supports what I do. And it really means a lot. I'm just going to read some of these real quick. Hashtag justice for all, Scarlett Campbell. Yes, ma'am. Justice for all, and find our missing. And TikTok. I'm going to say that, TikTok. And don't think for 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, that even if you're not with us live and you watch this later, don't think for 1 minute that I firmly believe that all of these cases will be solved. Again, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And as long as you've got a support system, and I can promise you here at the Grimm Truth Podcast, you have that support system. You have the support system with me and all of the wonderful people that I work with, that I get to work side by side with and bounce ideas off of, and sit in my studio and just work. I don't take no for an answer. And you know what? I can be a lot of things. I am a very blunt person. I'm very pragmatic. I'm to the point. There is no gray area. It either is or it isn't. It comes off sometimes. I'm just passionate, and that's another thing. It takes passionate people to not only look for the missing, but it takes those loved ones, those that don't give up, that even though they're tired, they're exhausted, they've done everything humanly possible, they still get up in the morning. The sun still comes up, and they face that battle ahead, which is finding their loved one, not stopping, and getting the truth. And at the Grimm Truth Podcast, that's what we're here to do too. I love doing what I do. There are days I get up and go, I shake my head in the things that people do to each other, the things that, just the things that people do to other human beings. And I shake my head and I ask God, to give me strength. And I get tired. But being able, and again, this isn't a big operation. I'm one dude. I got some volunteers that help me out, and I'm grateful. I have people that I can call and bounce ideas off of, and if they don't answer, they call me back. That's the greatest thing in the world. It's always good to have people to rely on, and I think we have that here. Even though that we transition, we're going to transition to not only helping the missing but helping the murdered. That doesn't mean that we're going to stop. We will always be about the missing, but you have to understand too that you can never say no when someone needs help, and we're here. If you have a missing loved one, or if you want to have us work on a case for you, check out the crawl at the bottom. Go to the www.thegrimmtruth.com and fill out an intake form. We have a wonderful system that when you fill this form out, we get it back, and I will call you within 48 hours. It's a wonderful system, and we will continue to help stack cases. I want to explain too that, you know, I have a lot on my plate right now, and I want that. I understand it, and I take it, and I'm forgetful. Please make sure that you understand that if I don't get in touch with you right away, you can always email me, Steve Stone at thegrimmtruth.com. That's Grimm with 2 M's. You can Facebook Messenger me at the Grimm Truth. People can tell you I do get back to people. I don't leave people hanging. I will get with you. But we have a lot of cases, and I don't just sit behind a desk and make videos. I research, I talk to people, I interview people, and we want to make everybody matter. We want everybody's voice to be heard, and that's our job. And I don't want, we offer services, Facebook services, that we put your loved one's Facebook, a missing Facebook page out there. We have wonderful search and rescue people that I've gotten to meet over this past year that are willing to help. There's a lot of things that we offer, and we're with you 100%, and we'll be with you all the way. But just understand that it's like when I put it on a shirt, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Thank you. I'm going to do more of these as the year goes on. And last but not least, please tell everybody, subscribe to the Grimm Truth Podcast YouTube channel. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, folks. I'm shocked. Subscribe to the channel, like buttons, comments. The algorithm on YouTube works against you because when you monetize, they really don't want to pay you. And when we get to monetizing, it's going to help pay the bills. But to get us out there to other people, we have to make sure we share, like, and subscribe, because the algorithm only works in our favor if more people interact, like with the comments or hitting the like button or sharing. That's how we get our name out there. And I want to continue doing it our way, the Grimm Truth way, the Grimm Guardian way, where I'm not beholden to anyone. I can continue doing the things that I do that work for me, and I'm very thankful for the platform. I'm very thankful for the people that support me. I'm thankful for the Grimm Guardians, all of you out there. I'm thankful to my friends, and I'm thankful for the families that put their trust in me to tell their stories. And I want, again, to thank everyone for tuning in today. This is going to wrap this up. Thank you as we continue to be a voice for the voiceless and the media for the missing. For now, I'm Steve Stone. Hug your family, keep your loved ones close, and God bless you. Talk to you later. Goodbye.